So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dalles Chamber Community Affairs. Today, our guest is Colleen, and I will let her introduce herself here shortly. She is with Six Rivers Dispute Resolution Center, and she's the program manager there. But before we do that, we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves, what organization we represent, and if you promise to keep it short, what's happening with your organization or things that we should know. There's also the chat box, and that is easy for you to throw up an event, information, PDFs, websites, or anything that we might want to know as a group. And so please put that in there. And as Colleen does her presentation, I will look for questions, because when someone shares their screen, it's really hard to see the people and your screen and talk. So I will be sure to watch the screen and the chat for any notes or any questions so that we can make sure she has the opportunity to address them. So with that, we're going to start with Scott McKay.
Good morning, everyone. Scott McKay. I'm a community liaison for Circles of Care, and that's a nonprofit of Age Plus that connects older adults with volunteers, older adults who need some kind of periodic support. I will be visiting a couple this morning her husband has dementia, and she's just looking for a couple hours a week to get away and just do shopping and that type of thing. We'll see if we can support her. Since Rob isn't here, I'd like to just mention that on November 8th is the Wasco County Ageless Awards at 2 p.m. And I think we've had the Ageless Awards for about five or 6 years. It's a copy. We stole the idea from Age Plus, which has an annual Ageless Awards for the state of Oregon, but it recognizes generally 4 individuals or couples 75 or older who still have contributed and still contribute to the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Corliss.
Good morning, everyone. This is Corliss Marsh, and I'm the office manager at Habitat for Humanity. I'm on a board of the Senior Center and also on the library board. And so the exciting news is the library is receiving its bookmobile today, and it's arriving. So sometime come and see it. Well, maybe hopefully not see it because it'll be on the road. So it's exciting. We're going to receive it this afternoon.
Awesome. That sounds like fun. All right, Dan Spots.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. Dan Spots, Economic Development Officer with the city. Couple of things. The Dalles Sister Cities visitors from Miyoshi, Japan are in town, arriving late this afternoon or evening. I think they're departing on Sunday. I'm not sure about that schedule, but it looks like a jammed schedule. Following a vote by the Urban Renewal Board on Monday, an 8-to-1 vote, we will be bringing a recommendation to the Dalles City Council for expansion of spending authority, that is maximum indebtedness, looking for the ability to spend TIF revenues that would be collected between 2026 and 2029, tax increment financing. I can go into hours of detail on that. I won't. But the goal here, a couple of major areas: reconstruction of First Street. There are major safety issues there, and investment in a number of downtown properties, upper story residential. These are older buildings that are deteriorating. The owners want to do major improvements to them. They don't always have the financial ability to do so. So urban renewal is able to close that gap in many cases. And this decision, if it goes forward by City Council on December 9th, would allow us to continue to do things like that up until 2029, when the district expires. Any unexpended revenues then are returned to the tax districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Phil Brady. And there you
Gotcha.
go.
Yep, I was ready.
Go.
Just had to get over there.
Yeah.
Phil Brady, I just got back off the road from the last thing I did here in town was our meeting last Thursday, and I've been gone since then. But I have been doing some work. Our state association encourages to do commissioner exchanges, and so there were 3 counties interested in doing that, Wasco, Deschutes, and Clatsop. And so 6 months ago, commissioners from Deschutes and Clatsop came to Wasco, and we toured them around. They were really impressed. They said we put on quite a show, which made them work harder to try and keep up with us. So then we went to Deschutes, and I focused a lot there on forest practices, to like thinning the forest and things like that. And houselessness really opened my eyes to a different mindset. Instead of, okay, let's make a shelter, get people in the shelter. It's really transitioning people in baby steps from one place to another, from houselessness to permanent housing. And then this weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever days those were, I'm lost, was in Clatsop County. Forests again, but in a different sense. The Clatsop, or the state forest, Tillamook and Clatsop state forests are getting closed off, and that's going to drastically affect the school districts and the timber industries there. Also, we did a lot of conversation about natural gas, using all of the effluent from the breweries to make natural gas. And that's going to be a problem, because there'll be a solution to a problem, because the city of Astoria has its settling ponds have not been dredged out in 60 years. And so the breweries don't have any place to put all that stuff that doesn't go into the bottles. Also fishing, I don't have I bought a fishing coat that's really nice. So I'm happy to be back home. It was rainy there, and people will say, "Oh, sorry for the rain," and I would just say, here in the Dalles, we don't get a chance to go out in the rain very much. It's just so we take every chance we can to get wet.
All right, Tanya Brumley. You're still muted. It's not going to do it, is it? Okay, so Tanya, put some updates in the box if you have or anything. And then if you finally get it to come and be obedient and actually unmute when you ask it, we'll let you have a chance to do some updates. How's that? All right, so with that, the chamber has a few things, but I'm putting them in the chat box for you. So that way I don't take up all the time this morning. Just know that there's some measures, the candidate form information, the recording is in there, and also the link to our community calendar is in there. So we are taking a stand on two measures, voting no on 117 and voting no on 118. So that is what's happening with the chamber. We've obviously evaluated, researched, and all of that, and this is just not the good for our community or the state economically on either one of them, we feel. And so that is why we've taken a stand. So I'll finish the measures here in just a moment, so they'll be up in the board. So if you want whys or what tos and all of that, you can grab that. So, but let's go on to something way more fun than politics. So with that, I believe I have everybody had a chance to introduce themselves. So Colleen, I am going to let you take it from here. And thank you for being here. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share screen and share my little presentation here. And there we go. Are you seeing that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I know you've heard about Six Rivers already. Some of my colleagues have already been here, but just to reiterate, we are a nonprofit community mediation center. We serve 5 counties in Oregon and 7 counties in Washington. And basically what a community mediation center does is we offer affordable, conflict resolution mediation services to people in our community. We do a variety of things from landlord-tenant mediations to parenting plan mediations, divorces, neighbor conflicts, that kind of thing. We offer sliding scale and waivers for those who need them. We're also home to Oregon's USDA agricultural mediation program, so we mediate agricultural cases throughout the state of Oregon. And we also have a restorative justice program called Circles of Peace, which is primarily in Hood River and Wasco counties. And restorative justice is a program where when a crime has been committed or someone has harmed another person, for appropriate cases, we get referrals from DA's offices. And rather than going through the traditional criminal legal system, people come to our program. People who are responsible for harm need to take responsibility for the harm that they've caused, make amends for the harm that they've caused, and commit to agreements going forward. And I just want to reiterate that in order to be part of that program, cases have to meet a lot of pretty strict criteria. We also offer community trainings. We're having a one-day listening skills and conflict resolution training tomorrow, actually, at Riverside Church in Hood River. We still have a few spots open, and I can put that link to that registration in the chat, although registration is going to close in a few hours. And we also offer a 40-hour basic mediation training, among other trainings. So are there any questions about Six Rivers? Okay.
Real quick, what time is the training tomorrow?
It is from 9 to 4:30 at Riverside Church in Hood River. Mhm.
That's the time. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be talking today about listening skills. And I've heard that this is kind of an advanced group, you all, from my colleagues, that you have a lot of skills already. And a lot of you are already, I imagine, really good listeners. And that said, I know for myself, I am always working on my listening skills. It's not something that I feel I've ever arrived at, like, oh, yes, I did it. I'm a really good listener now. I feel like it's a practice that I'm always working on with my family, my friends, my colleagues. And before we get into it, we know that this is an election season. We know that there are heightened emotions. We want to let you know that we're going to be talking about empathy, active listening, but that's also for you too. If you're in a conversation that's really hard, someone's really activated, maybe being disrespectful, it's feeling really hard to go forward, we want to just give you the option, if you can, that you don't have to begin or continue a conversation. If you're noticing that you're holding your breath, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling kind of that feeling in your stomach, you can have an exit strategy. I've had to do this sometimes in my work. Sometimes we get people calling who are very upset. I've had people, swear at me, be quite disrespectful. And I've had to just take a minute and say, I don't think I can have this conversation right now. I'm feeling kind of upset. So let's see if we can maybe take a minute and continue the conversation later. So we just want to let you know we're going to be talking about listening in difficult conversations, and it's okay for you to have empathy and take care of yourself if you're needing to. So when people are sharing something that they're upset about, usually their brain is in a pretty escalated state. And I'm not a brain scientist, but I have learned that when we're calm, we're able to problem solve. And so that's sort of that brain on the right, that executive state, and it's the optimal state for problem solving and learning. And it's really activating that sort of higher level thinking. But I know that when I'm really upset, when I'm really angry, when I'm really stressed, I'm not really in a good state to do problem solving. And sometimes we forget that when we're having conversations with people. I know, especially like with my kids, if they're upset, I want to immediately go into problem solving when they come and they're upset about something, but I have to learn that they're actually not able to do that. None of us are. When we're activated and upset, our brain is in sort of that red zone there, that survival state, where we're really kind of questioning, am I actually safe? One way to help somebody move from that red state over to sort of that blue state where they're more in an emotional state, and then to that executive state where they're calmer and able to problem solve, is by feeling heard and by feeling listened. I know recently I was on hold for a long time with a company trying to get an issue solved with a bill. I kept getting transferred around. I'm sure you've all had this experience. I was getting really frustrated, really upset. My brain was going into that survival state. And what I really needed to do to calm down was to have the customer service rep I finally connected with listen to me. And they did a really good job. They said, hey, it sounds like you're feeling, kind of upset. And I'm hearing that, you've been transferred around, that you're trying to get the issue with this bill solved. And when they summarized what my major concerns were, I calmed down immediately because I felt heard. And then I was kind of able to go into problem solving mode with them. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, Colleen,
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned I've been focused on houselessness issues. This applies in that context as well, on a longer time scale. A person living on the street is going to be in the survival stage.
Yep.
And moving them into an emotional state and an executive state is comparable to what the counselors do over time to get people to solve their own problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. People who are living under extreme stress are basically in a survival state. And so it can be really hard for them to problem
And
solve. Mm-hmm.
And also comparable to what you probably might come up here is what they're looking for is safety.
Mm-hmm.
And then in your work, that becomes is this conversation a safe place?
Yep, exactly. Thank you. Any other comments on that? This was actually developed by Conscious Discipline, which is an educational consulting company in working with schools and helping with discipline problems with children, and it's applicable to adults as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to listening, we all have our certain barriers to listening. So I just listed some common ones. So I invite you to just take a minute or two and look through those and just see if there are any that really resonate for you. Any of these are barriers that you have to listening sometimes.
I think the seventh or eighth one down the list is always a temptation and something that it's sometimes hard to counter internally, but I don't agree with that, so I'm going to come up with an argument to counter that before I hear it all out. And
When I disagree with a speaker, that one,
Yeah,
I spend
yeah.
my time thinking of counter arguments than listening. Yeah, definitely. I know that's a hard one for me.
And I certainly experience that in the other direction, so it's always something I try to pay. So I'm an old reporter. Spent about 30 years as a journalist, and had to learn the hard way along the line. Okay, I've got to listen. Asking the questions why and how when opportunity presents itself, a way to improve dialogue and encourage yourself to participate in that process and to learn along the way.
Anyone else? I know for me, I often have so much on my mind that I find it hard to listen to others, which is kind of similar to I can look as though I'm listening, even when I'm not. I think I'm pretty good at that. I'll be looking like I'm listening and nodding, and my brain is not even there. I'm thinking of all the things I have to do today.
I'll go with it's hard when things violate my values, and
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll look like I'm listening and feeling phony.
Anyone else we haven't heard from?
I don't see it quite there yet, but sometimes with what I do, the same person comes in repeatedly with the same topic and the same speech.
Mm-hmm.
And you get tired of trying to be engaged and listen when you've already given them the connections because it's beyond your capabilities to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hard part, is still being that pleasant person and you know, really telling them, okay, this is the 5th time you've been in here and you've given me the same speech, but I've given you resources. Have you gone there? So that's the hard part in our office is when
Mhm.
you had the repeated speech with no results.
Mhm.
The other ones, we force ourselves just to stand up there and be engaged, or we find one of our staff that is more of their passion so that they can be engaged with that person. So we try to do that when someone comes in.
Mhm. And that's kind of going back to that first slide where it's okay to set some boundaries around
Yes.
listening if you're needing to. Mhm. Anyone else? Okay. So I was trying to think of something fun to do at 7 a.m. So I have a few funny videos of people struggling with listening. So I thought it might make it a little fun today. So I'm going to just show a 4-minute video of Phil not being a very good listener. And we can think about what his barrier to listening was and what did he learn to do differently. So let me see if I
Not
can get
our
this
Phil.
to work. No, this is Phil from Modern Family.
Our Phil knows how to listen.
Oh, hold on. I'm having some technical issues here. Okay.
When I was teaching in science, my theory was my students in science would have, if they say something wrong, it makes sense to them. And so my job was to listen, to figure out why does that make sense to them. And that was a fun way to teach. They came up with crazy things.
That does sound fun. Oops, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm having technical issues, but I'm going to get there because I actually do know what to do, I think. Okay, there we are. So let me know if the sound's not working, but hopefully it will work.
I'm thinking of getting bangs.
Ooh, you totally should. You would be so cute with bangs. You have the face for it. I don't. Oh, there's my better half. Kim, would you mind? Thank you. Hey, honey, where are ya?
Oh, I'm on my way to Downey.
Oh, did you know Karen and Richard Carpenter grew up in Downey?
What a random and not helpful fact, Phil. I'm sorry. I'm having kind of a rough day.
Yeah, I'm kind of having a rough day myself.
Look, Phil, I need you to take care of dinner for me.
What's wrong?
Oh, Alex ripped Haley's favorite sweater, and now I'm driving around from store to store trying to find the exact same one before Haley finds out.
Don't do that. Just explain to her what happened.
Haley's not gonna understand.
Sure she will.
No, Phil, you don't understand. I'm trying to avoid this turning into a whole big thing.
And just get her something close. She'll never know the difference.
Phil, could you just take care of dinner, sweetie? That's all I'm asking. That's it.
I'm just saying there's a simpler way to do this.
There is no simpler way. Just make dinner. Thank you.
Hello? What? Okay, I'm confused. You're saying that if she tells me she has a problem, I'm not supposed to help her?
Not unless she asks for your help.
But if she lets me help her, I can make her problem go away.
That is such a male thing to say.
Well, forgive me for being a man.
Mango or kiwi?
Ooh, kiwi.
When you say, do this or do that, all she's hearing is, I'm smarter than you.
Believe me, she doesn't think that.
She doesn't want you to solve her problems. She just wants you to give her support so that she can solve her problems herself.
Yes, and sometimes she just wants a sympathetic ear.
Whoa. Whoa. Maybe it's all the creams, but that just made sense, girlfriends. So if Claire says, I hate getting stuck in traffic, I shouldn't say, maybe you should leave earlier, or don't get on the freeway. I should just say, I know, it's so frustrating.
Yes, that's
Really?
Yes.
And if she says, the waiter I had today was so rude, I shouldn't say, maybe you should just order something on the menu for once. I should just say, what a jerk. Yes! And if she says, Phil, the TV's driving me crazy, I should just say, I know, there is not enough quality programming for women.
No. Turn off the damn TV.
Okay, now I'm confused again.
back yet?
She's on her way. Did you find it?
I did. At the 5th store I went to, it was in the window, and I had to undress a mannequin while a creepy guy filmed it, so we have that to look forward to on the internet.
Thank you so much, Mom.
You're welcome. Now go put that exactly where you found the other one, okay? Okay. Mwah.
Uh-oh.
What?
The security tag, it's still on.
I told those people to take that off. Oh, no.
She's pulling into the driveway.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Don't panic. I've got it.
She's getting out of the car.
Right, you're doing it. I've almost got it. Oh, God. Oh, no.
What is that?
Well, it's ink.
She's in the house. What are you doing with my sweater? Oh my God, it's ruined. It was an accident. I knew this would happen, you idiot.
Hey, let's try to get along.
I wish she was never even born. They were trying to make one with a brain.
No, honey, you guys are both pretty smart.
Oh. It's that sweater, huh?
Yeah, it is. That sweater. And I did everything I can to stop them from fighting.
I don't understand why they can't see how much you love them.
I don't know. Meanwhile, Cheryl has been calling me all day because she's angry I didn't show up.
Doesn't Cheryl have a housekeeper and a nanny? Why does she need so much help?
I know, right?
You work so hard. You do so much.
I do.
Of course you do.
I do. Oh, sweetie, thank you. I really appreciate that.
See, guys can learn.
Good one.
There's some gender stereotyping going on there. That's maybe not totally fair, but
It's somewhat accurate. So yeah.
yeah.
That was great.
Thoughts on that? What was Phil doing to help move her to that more executive state to calm her brain?
Yeah. He learned not to correct.
We used to
Not to
watch that all the time.
What's that?
We used to watch that program all the time.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. I don't remember that one, though.
Yeah.
He was validating her feelings.
Validating her feelings. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go back now to the PowerPoint. See if I can do this. Okay. Oops. All right. So good listening habits. I think many of you already know this intuitively, but I know for me it can be helpful to just kind of keep these front and center. As was just mentioned, it can be really helpful to identify the feelings or needs that someone's experiencing. And in mediation, we often use sounds like, because we don't want to presume that we know how someone's feeling or what they're needing. And we kind of ask that often as a question. Sounds like you're feeling mad? And the nice thing about that is that if they're not feeling that way, they can correct you and you can get it right. No, I'm not mad. I'm anxious, or, whatever that is. But often when people have their feelings acknowledged, that can help them calm down. Restating and summarize in your own words about what you've just heard them say. I think I'm hearing you say da-da-da-da-da-da. Is that right? That can also help people, because then they know for sure that they have been heard. Like in my example where I was on the phone with the company, getting really, really frustrated, just having the customer service rep acknowledge my frustration and then summarize what my major concerns were really helped me calm down pretty quickly. And then asking open-ended questions. Can you help me understand what led to? I think someone here mentioned earlier that questions that can begin with what or how can be really helpful, which is really true. For whatever reason, sometimes why can sound almost accusatory in the English language. Like, say, I don't know, two kids get in a fight. You say, why did you punch your friend? As opposed to what led to you getting in a fight, can sound a little bit gentler for whatever reason. What impact has this had on you is one that we use a lot in mediation that can be really, really helpful. Sometimes people get really, really locked into their positions. For example, in mediation, someone might come in and say, he owes me $5,000, and that's their position that they're coming in with. I need that $5,000. well, we understand that you're needing that, but can you help me understand the impact that the situation has had on you? And that can be really helpful in sort of brainstorming next steps forward. What might be a next step? What would you like to see happen? And what actions are you contemplating? Can be helpful, open-ended questions to help people move forward. Any thoughts on that? I'm having trouble seeing everybody right now. Let's see here. Just going to
No.
stop share for a minute.
No one has their hands up.
Okay.
I was double checking for you. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right. So we have another little activity to do where we're going to watch a 3-minute video clip from the Big Bang Theory. And just want you, as you're watching it, to imagine that you were in the room with Sheldon and Leonard. They're having a discussion. They both have some things that they're really concerned about, and the other one is just not listening. So imagine if you were there in the room listening to one of them, what would be an empathy statement you could make? Sounds like you're feeling baratara. Quick summary of what their concerns are, and then an open-ended question that might help them figure out how they want to move forward. So let me see if I can just get to that. Okay.
Play. 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 Play.
What are you doing?
Trying to use a Jedi mind trick to control Stephen Hawking. Play. Play. Ugh. He must be wearing a tinfoil hat or something.
I did a bad thing.
Does it affect me?
No.
Then suffer in silence. Play. 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 Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking.
Penny started taking a class. She wrote a paper. She didn't want me to read it. I went behind her back. I read it anyway.
Stephen Hawking hates me.
I don't know what to do. The paper's terrible. If I tell her, she'll know that I read it, and she'll get really mad.
I was beating him so bad he doesn't want to be friends anymore. Why does everyone love me except Stephen Hawking?
Is it possible we're having two different conversations?
How would I know? I'm not listening to you.
Hang on. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Chess clock. We each get 5 minutes to talk about our problems. We'll take turns. Each turn will consist of a statement and a helpful response from the friend. Begin.
I humiliated Stephen Hawking in a game of words with friends. He stopped playing, and now we're not friends anymore.
He's probably busy. You're worried about nothing. Give it a couple more days. I'm sure he'll play, and you'll see that everything's fine. My turn. I can't let Penny hand in a bad paper, but how do I tell her it's bad without letting her know that I read it?
Beats me. Now, I know Hawking's not busy because I can see he's playing other people right now.
Maybe since you're so good, he's taking his time to meet the challenge. I want Penny to enjoy it.
Wallace told me he's a big baby. Yeah, I didn't know that, and I played extract for 82 points. Oh, it's all Amy's fault. She told me to play it. I've got to cut her loose.
Sheldon, I wasn't done talking. She hands in the paper tomorrow. I know I could help her, and she's my girlfriend. I should be allowed to help her. Why aren't I allowed to help her?
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
No. You need to give me some advice.
Fine. Women, huh?
No. Specific to my situation.
Blonde women, huh?
Empathetic.
It sucks to be you.
I quit.
Leonard, wait. No. I listen to your dumb thing. Leonard, come back. Leonard, come back. Leonard, come back.
What?
Oh, of course. It only works on the weak-minded.
Okay, we watch that show all the time.
It's a good one.
It is, and you can't help but laugh.
Well, one person was trying there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He even tried a solution that, that wasn't a bad try.
Okay, so that choice implies that men might like advice, whereas we were previously be empathetic, don't try to solve problem, start by listening and validating emotions, but the clip was going toward give me advice. Do men like advice?
I don't know. Sometimes people like advice, and I think it's okay to give advice if someone specifically asks for advice, or if you say after you've empathized, summarized, and maybe offered an open-ended question to say, I had a similar thing happen once. Would it be okay if I shared, how I handled that? Would that be helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are no hard and fast rules. So if you were in the room with them and you were going to respond to Leonard, anyone have any thoughts? What would be an empathy statement you could make?
Well, first, compliment him for anticipating his girlfriend's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That shows a lot of empathy on his part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would
Any
say
other
that,
thoughts?
you've just come back from dealing with this today. It's been challenging, and sometimes the passage of a few hours will give you time to come up with something. Your brain kind of tends to think about things even when you're not concentrating and not too hard. Maybe in the morning, maybe later, a solution will come up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having some tech issues where I couldn't see you all, so I'm just going to go off the presentation for a minute, trying to figure it out. Yeah. Any thoughts? How would you quickly summarize his concerns?
Oh.
Just in one sentence. Anyone? Any thoughts?
He wants to help fix, but he only knows about it because he did something she asked him not to.
Yeah.
So that's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And for him, I guess my advice in that situation would be to go back and say, Penny, why don't you want me to read the paper?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that are you thinking I'm going to want to fix it? Or do you want, that simple question, why do you not want me to read the paper?
Can you help me understand what's going on about you not wanting me to read the paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sheldon never listens. So. It's not in his makeup. And Leonard is always asking for confirmation. So.
Oh.
Not that we know these characters really well in our house.
Here would be my moves.
Mm-hmm.
Which is more important, fixing her paper or fixing your relationship with her?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because those
question.
are the horns of his dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes toward fixing the relationship with her, advice I give my students is if you do something wrong at work, make sure the boss hears about it first from you, because that's going to maintain the trust relationship. And so I'd kind of put that back.
What about Sheldon? If you were trying to be empathetic with Sheldon.
Well, Stephen Hawking doesn't have care about him either, so they're on even ground.
Yeah.
You could always get down to why is it so important that you need to connect with him right at this moment?
Sounds like you're.
What is that urgency?
Yeah, it sounds like your friendship with Stephen's really important to you. Yeah.
Stephen feel the same way.
It sounds like you're really worried that ending the game, he may not want to be your friends anymore. Is that right? Yeah. What would be an open-ended question you might be able to ask Sheldon to help him figure out how to move forward?
Hmm.
And this could be really simple, something just like, what do you think you should do? What would you like to see happen, Sheldon? It doesn't have to be anything brilliant.
Yeah.
Sheldon, is there anyone else you'd like to be bugging right now besides Stephen Hawking?
Mm-hmm. But ever since I went through a lot of these trainings and learned how to become a mediator, I noticed myself doing this a lot more, like with my kids. Like if they come home upset about something, I make an empathy statement first. I do a quick summary of what I've heard, and then I say something like, well, what do you think might be a good option for moving forward? Rather than in the past, I might have been like, well, this is what I think you should do. It helps them have more buy-in.
It doesn't quite apply here. It's a move. It would be, what bad thing will happen if he doesn't, if Hawking doesn't respond? Because it kind of plays out and makes it concrete what the fear is.
Right.
And then we can put that about to evaluate.
Yeah. So I'll just share my oh, it always starts, there we go. Just share my final slide here. Oh, and it always goes back to the beginning. So basically, in summary, to help people move to the executive level functioning or green brain state, you can practice active listening. And the steps are usually an empathy statement, a quick summary of what you've heard, and then asking some open-ended questions. So that's all I've got. Any closing thoughts or anything anyone wants to share? Thoughts on listening?
Well,
It's
Colleen,
harder than you think.
It's harder than you think, is that what you said? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
Scott?
Colleen, do you know about Braver Angels?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that fits right in, and
Mm-hmm.
it'd be nice to actually talk to Doug Roof and maybe present something like that at a virtual Braver Angels meeting sometime this winter. And
Sure.
if people don't know, Braver Angels is trying to help create civil dialogue between those who are what we call red leaning and those who are blue leaning, and to have a civil conversations between the groups where you aren't trying to persuade the other person to your view, but trying just to listen, just like Colleen is talking about. And they meet regularly once a month, and they're going to be in the Dalles November 7th at the UCC church, and will be the November meeting. And it's a great opportunity to learn those skills that Colleen is talking about. And if you have any folks who are red leaning, we could use more of those folks. It's pretty much of a blue leaning group, and Doug is a red leaning, but it's a great opportunity to help practice and try to bridge that partisan divide where you aren't trying to persuade someone to agree with you, just need to listen. So you don't, the thing I always dislike the most is when someone says, I just don't understand what they were thinking. And I think we need to understand what they were thinking, even though we may not agree with that. Yeah.
Colleen, we've had some conversations, I may be offline in this group about artificial intelligence. As you can imagine, it's not hard to train ChatGPT to go through those moves. And have studies been done? Is it good just to go through the mental exercise, or is do people need to have a human face in there and have a sense that, okay, somebody else really is feeling what I'm feeling?
Gosh, that's a good question. I've heard of people using ChatGPT and AI to problem solve and to think things through. I feel like it probably could be helpful for that. And I mean, I don't think anything can ever replace a genuine human connection. I hope. What do you think?
I'm reading the book, Yuval Noah Harari. He wrote Sapiens. His new book is Nexus and it goes into this. And he made a point that kind of startled me, like, which would be easier to replace, a doctor or a nurse with AI? And the answer is it's easier to replace the doctor, because a doctor is going to interview you and look for patterns and it's pattern identification. So these patterns fit this disease, where a nurse is coping and doing physical things.
Interesting.
And another thing from experience is that if you, like my wife and I, if we've talked about good communication techniques and how to listen, and in your question, it becomes obvious you're using those techniques. My wife will tell me, I mean, she'll come across as thinking, well, that's just not genuine. You're playing a game here. I know how to do this. I mean, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be empathetic, but you really aren't being empathetic. I don't know if you know Bill Noonan, many of you may, and he's excellent on communication. And his wife, Lori, would tell him once in a while, no, you're not playing that game with me. You know, I want you to really listen. Don't go through the steps. And so I think the important thing is to be genuine and really, really come across as that way, and not just trying to fake it by going through a process.
Yeah, for sure. Be yourself. People can see through that, huh?
Both women and men take about 15 minutes to calm down. Though I'm told women take about 2 minutes more. So you have to hang in there.
One thing before we go, if people are interested in more about communication, a really good book, it's called Nonviolent Communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg. I'll just write that in the chat, that I highly recommend if you're interested in learning more. Communication. Rosenberg. Well, thank you so much for having me and putting up with my sitcoms this morning. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Corliss just popped in a question for you. It says,
oh,
how do people use your services?
Yeah, just give us a call. We have a wonderful team. If you're calling and you have a conflict and you're not sure how to move forward, you can call and speak to our services coordinator, Lori, explain the situation. If you're interested in mediation, she can, or another member of our team will reach out to the other party, see if they're possibly interested in coming and having a conversation, and then we can go ahead and schedule a mediation. Does that answer your question?
Well, so one party can do it. I mean, I'm thinking of like some of my homeowners in Habitat, and they have personal issues, you know, they get a divorce and then figuring out who's going to own the house. And so is that kind of something that you could?
Yep, that's what we do. Yep. We're not attorneys. We don't give legal advice, but we can help people come and have a conversation and decide about what they want to do moving forward. And people are always welcome to consult with attorneys at any step in the process.
And is there a cost?
Yeah, but we do offer sliding scales and waivers for those who qualify. We never turn away anyone if they can't pay. We're a nonprofit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can check out our website, sixrivers.org, for more information.
How about between public organizations? Not necessarily speaking to Wasco County. There are 5 or 7 counties out there, and I might be talking about any one of them.
Are you talking about internal in the Dalles City Council? Is that what you would?
No, Phil, I'm not. No.
Okay, good. I didn't think so. They get along great.
Yeah, remember I live over here in Klickitat County, so it might be on the other side of the river.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what was your question?
Mediation between public organizations.
We have done some of that. Yeah, we would probably want more information to see if we had mediators or facilitators who'd be the right fit for something like that.
Is it? So many times it still comes down to personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And surely I am speaking about the north side of the river, Phil. We get along pretty good in the Dalles, I think.
We talk about how hard it is to work together, and the answer is yes. And we know because we try. Yeah.
Yep.
Conflict is normal. It's one thing we teach. It happens.
Yeah, we're all different, all different backgrounds, drives, all of that. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes the most bonking of the heads and coming to that resolution ends up being best friends. So,
Can happen.
yeah, it can. I've seen it. So there's hope. So, but any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Please, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
We just need reminders of those. Oh, yeah. The eye openers, the does, why didn't I do it that way? Great way to ask a question instead of being more accusational, but really prompting that you're listening into that piece of it. So sometimes we get in a hurry and we forget to stop and take a breath and really engage with that person rather than the environment around you. So thank you so much. And everyone, there's all kinds of notes, different things, contact information, events that are happening. All of those different things are in that chat. So if you didn't grab them, go ahead and grab those out of there. And with that, I am going to give us just a couple extra minutes so you can all go get one more cup of coffee. And there you go, Phil. I got to go get mine. So, but Colleen, thank you again for being here this morning. We do appreciate it. I know it's early. And so it was perfect amount of engagement and entertainment, but also with the aha. So I appreciate that. So everyone have a great day. There is a lot happening in our community all over the place. And so check out that community calendar so that you can fill yours up with fun, adventure, or information. And then if you do have any questions regarding the candidates or anything, please refer to that video. I think it did a really good job of interviewing them and giving you some insight as to how they would leave and what their priorities are. So everyone, take care and have a fantastic Thursday.
Thank you all.
Thanks.